doing, so come on, Mother, up!
His size was a help in some ways to him, but also perhaps it was his great tragedy, actually, because watching him dance, you realise he was a really good dancer, and he could have been the hero, you know, the sort of the swashbuckling, the dashing hero, but of course he couldn't because he was too small.
We are really captivated with the lad. Diva, celebrated, venerated, decorated, elevated hero. We have.
It's much harder than people imagine to make dancing funny. There's one piece of film that I remember where he's it's an imaginary scene. He's dancing. It's a sort of excuse me waltz, and he's intervening and dancing with somebody. And he uses mime very much in that scene. And what is really skillful about that is you can clearly see who he is. He tells you about his character, but he also tells you about the other guy's character, and the other guy isn't even there. That's really very, very clever. I mean, he either knows how he's doing it or it's simply genius that he can do that.
Doing what I do now, I consider Norman Wisdom to be the finest musical performer this country's ever turned out. His skill as a mime artist, his ability to dance, a completely untrained man, his awareness of comedy is just second to none as far as musical theatre is concerned.
Well, that suits me.
My outstanding memory of Norman was in Walking Happy, which was a stage musical version of Hobson's Choice. The show got very mixed reviews, but his reviews were ecstatic. And what he wrung out of the part, the physical effort he put into dancing, clog dancing on the top of a barrel, for example, brought the house down every night. And they managed to get, I think, about a year's run out of the show. The show should have closed within the first week, because you're either a hit or you close on Broadway. But Norman's personal performance transformed the show.
It used to be Hobson's Bootmakers. And I come out of the shop and I look up and I can't believe it, and I say,
William Musser, Master Bootmaker.
well, by gum, there's the kind of walk.
You walk when you feel like crowing. There's the kind of walk you walk when you're on your way. There's the kind of walk you walk when your pride is showing, and the kind of walk you walk when today's your day. There's the kind of walk you walk when the world's all rainbow and your heart's hopping like a puffin' jay. Good fortune's found you, chappie, and your life's a happy Valentine. Oh, when you're walking happy, don't the moving world seem fine?
There was a strange comment someone made to me in rehearsal a couple of years ago when I had to do some half-formed movements and do them a little bit in an improvisational fashion. And I did them, and my partner said to me, please don't do that. I can't stop laughing. You look like Norman Wisdom. So I did remember then that, yes, there was something sort of quirky about Norman Wisdom and his movement. So from that point on, I wasn't surprised to think of him as a dancer.
Don't the bloomin' world seem
I remember on opening night, everyone was sweating for the reviews, and we came up in the lift at Sardi's, the door opened and this whole floor of the party started, and everybody sort of gave him a standing ovation, a round of applause. And he looked round and he said, well, if the show flops, this is at least I can say I got a standing ovation in the lift at Sardi's. Funny man, Norman.
The Butcher of Broadway, if he belted a show, you know, they'd close the next day almost, it was all that. But with me, he came and saw Walking Happy, and he said, now that we've got Norman Wisdom here, let's keep him and never let him go.
Raymond, am I funny looking? You know, I mean, well, when I leave a room, did a short, funny guy just walk out?
You met a girl. Ah, check, my boy. When it comes to girls, you have three qualities that are far worse than being short and funny-looking. You have the curse of the 3 Ds. You are decent, devoted, and dependable. Good qualities in a dog, disastrous in a man. Women like bastards.
No wonder they love you.
And I used to say to him, one day you're going to be in a film where it's not all of you. If John Wayne and Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas can share Berlin, you should, because he was very disciplined and he was brilliant.
From head to toe, I'm a gentleman who wears my top hat and cane. Oh, women go crazy 'cause I'm hard to get. If they don't love me, they ain't met me yet.
In America, it was really beginning to happen for him. But I think for some personal reason or other, he felt he had to come back here, which is possibly a shame, because I think, you know, had he stayed there in the States, I'm sure they would have taken him to their heart, because he's terribly talented and could do everything.
I can tell you the truth now that I was married, of course, over in England, and my wife had found someone tall and good-looking. And so I came back to look after my son and daughter, and I'm very proud and pleased that I did.
И что такое Норман Уиздом, наверное, это то, что я люблю. Это дорога, которую нам проложил, наверное, Дон Кихот. Это, значит, дорога, это трагикомедия, где и слезы, и смех, значит, существуют одновременно. Который, он как ребенок. Наверное, самая его главная черта – это мы в нем видим ребенка. Мы ему прощаем все его промашки, потому что все они произошли не от того, что он хочет сделать плохо, а наоборот, хочет всем помочь, он хочет, чтобы везде было хорошо и так далее. То есть это маленький ребенок, который, раскрыв глаза, это ну, как называется, удивляется этому миру.
Just a few months ago, these children all lived on the streets. Their surprise visitor shared the happiness and warmth of a hostel provided by Child Hope UK. But in Europe's poorest country, these are the lucky ones. Sadly, wherever you walk, it's all too easy to encounter those not so fortunate. A considerable number of young children are being forced onto the streets to beg.
Thank you, Mr. Pitkin.
Oh.
You obviously don't realize, but you've just done something wonderful.
Me?
You must have a gift.
Oh, no. No, I don't want anything. Me and Mr. Grimsdale, we do it for nothing.
He was then invited to go to Chernobyl, where he received a wonderful accolade from the government in which they were going to open a hospice for Norman called the Norman Wisdom Hospice. He went along with Patrick Dickinson, who's his old army chub, and instead of flying out there, they decided to go over